Hello gang, hello friends, hello gang friends. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to draw the Grinch. That's it, I'm not going. We are starting with 2 coats of Autumn Aura from Madame Glam and an apology. There's a big chunk of this video until we get to his mouth that was blurry as fudge, and I've tried to sharpen it, I've tried to do stuff to it, but it's not the best quality. I just really hope you stick around because I've never done anything this kind of style before. So I apologise. I'll just scatter apologies through the video, but it does clear up once we get to his mouth, which is a little while away. I'm sorry. Okay, right. We're going to start with a circle, and then we're going to faff around and make our circle bigger because we realised we have to draw a face in this circle. So let's make it as big as possible. Let's take up as much of the nail as we can so that when we come to do the features, we've got more room. This is a long... a super long nail, and it's sort of, I think is it thumb size? It might be thumb size, which I know is big, but I've not painted this before, so I'm giving myself as much room as possible. Right, we have our circle, and then we draw a straight line through the centre, and we're curving out to give him a chin at the bottom. Why is it going so fast? Ignore the cone I put on top, we've wiped that off. And then halfway through the circle, we drew a horizontal line, and then halfway between that horizontal line and the top of the circle, we've done another line. And where that line ends, we're going to do a kind of curve at the top of his head. Okay. And then halfway from the middle line to the bottom of the circle, we've done another little line. That's just marking out where his features will be. We're not going to put them on before we start colouring in, which we normally do, but we're doing it differently this time. So I was just marking it out to make sure that they were sort of in the right place, that, you know, the size of what we'd done would work out for where the eyes and the mouth will be. It was the best way to get an idea of if we've got it the right shape or not, just making little markers where they'll go. And then his neck, we just came down in a skinny bit and out like the top of a bottle. That was it. And now, holy moly, this is going quickly. I tried to speed a whole bunch of it up, or cut, you know, like cut enough out that you don't lose anything, but you don't have to sit through some blurriness for so long. So we've used Slime Time from Ball Pit Nails, and we coloured him, and it's a really bright green. And then his eyebrows, we just did a sort of rough guide of his eyebrows, which was like an S on its side from the centre of his face, but just to the left on the left side and just to the right on the right side. We came out, up, and then down a little bit to mark out where his eyebrows will go. That's just a guide for his eyes, which we're doing little sort of teardrops on their side underneath those eyebrows we put on. Oh, the quality of this video is so bad. So we're just giving him these sort of evil shaped eyes, and now we can see the shape of the eyebrow that we roughly mapped out better, because we're taking a dark green, and we did a splodge at the end, not a splodge, just a little dot of the green, and then stretched that out to the middle of his eyes. And now we're going underneath his eyes, so just outlining. And where we had that extra bit here, the splodge, we're going to fade it out. I'm starting using the cleanup end of the Ball Pit Nails Double Trouble brush, which this brush is, but I'm going to switch, oh, it's Dexter huffing. I'm going to switch to the to Twice as Nice brush from Ball Pit Nails for doing this bit. We're just fading out where we put a bit of extra at the top and the side of his eyebrows here. We are fading that downwards. I do switch brushes in a sec. Okay, breathe. Okay, this brush. I will go in and change this bit for a darker green. I won't show you, but it'll be a bit darker when we next see it. I just went over it a bit darker. I am using inspo from the Vo.Tino Grinch that he did. He did half a Grinch face on the nail. and also some other ones I found on YouTube to drawing them. I'll put links to them in the description for like guides on how to draw it, which is what I'm kind of using, and I'm looking at a picture as well. So we just used a lighter green than the eyebrow green to do a dot for his irises, the coloured bits, and then we're outlining that in black, which you can't see because it's so bloody blurry, but we outlined that green dot in black and we put a little black dot in the centre for a pupil. And this is a little bit of grey, very light grey, just in the top corner of the white bits of his eyes. That's what Vo.Tino did. And now I'm taking a light green and just doing a little bit in the iris, in the coloured bit of his eye, just putting a dash of light green. Okay. Right. I'm sorry, this is going a bit quick and crazy, isn't it? Now we're coming down from the centre of his, not the centre of his eye, the inside of his eye. We're coming down, out, and then down towards his chin with the green that I initially did the eyebrows with. But you can see they're darker than this green now. I think you want maybe three or four greens for this. The background green, which I used Slime Time. Then I mixed the green we're using now with some black to do his eyebrows. And the green of his eyes is a bit lighter. So where we've made this sort of curved shape, we're just fading it down so it's wet. And we're just doing tiny little drags to blend it into the Slime Time green, which I know looks too bright for him, but most of it, it's sort of acting as the highlight that we're going to cover with a lot of darker greens. So we'll do the same on this side, and where we're blending this into the face, we're also blending it into where we blended the eyebrows. You know, when we brought the eyebrows down on the outside of his face, inside his face, but to the outside. We blended that up into this as well. And then we give a little upside down U at the where a mouth would go. And we're going to carry on blending all of this new green into the Slime Time green. So we're just fading it. I'm using ombre brush here. And that's what I think Vo.Tino used in his video. It was a short sort of thing on Instagram. So I screen recorded and was kind of pausing it and looking at what he was doing, because they sort of cut a lot out in those. So trying to figure it out and then trying to mirror it to get the other side of his face. But it is definitely an amalgamation of several different videos and pictures of this Grinch. So as we fade this up, we want to fade it from where it is, fade the green, but then where we faded, fade the faded bit. And then where we first started fading, this bit here, like where the darker green is, we want to make sure it doesn't go dark green, then a big faded block. We want it all to fade smoothly into the next bit, you know, so where the green gets lighter or sheerer, we want it to smoothly be sheer. Okay, I think that makes sense. I was hoping this would be a really helpful video, but I feel like the quality, the voiceover, the editing, everything about it's just horrible. So you'll have to accept my apologies. I was tempted to film him again and then decided against it. So what we're doing here, we've done a band. I've given it a bit of a curve. We've sort of roughly mapped out where his arms would be, just with a line that sort of comes down to split his tummy from his arms. And then this band we've done in a little curve. See that? It's a little bit curved. And we're just pulling down with an ombre brush. We're just fading it down a bit and up a bit. So the slime time between these two dark bands is covered, but covered sheerly. So you can still see it. It's not completely opaquely covered, but the fading down does cover all the slime time, but it's just sheerer as we're sort of using the ombre brush like this. See, I'm going over all the slime time, but you can still see the difference in colour between that and the dark green. So we came from his neck down, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the arms at this point. So we'll just worry about those later. And we go, this is a lot of just putting dark green bits on and fading. So here we're just curving out where the dark green under the eyes is in sort of a triangle where you would do your highlighter. We have just curved between the two of them and we're fading it down. And now we can do the sort of wrinkles in his forehead. So we're doing a big arch above the eye, and then which goes all the way to the middle corner. The corner of his eye in the middle of his face. And again, we're using the Twice as Nice brush just to fade that down. Like I say, I've sped bits up because I know this is just not nice to look at because it's not clear. You alright, baby boy? Oh, did you hear that? Dex is huffing at me. I've sped it up just because it is just bad quality and I'm really sorry. But yeah, I didn't want to do it again. So now I'm doing the same on the other side. You see I'm wiping my brush on my thumb, just where I was fading, and then wanted to wipe the stuff off my brush before carrying on fading, because you kind of want to get rid of some of it to fade out the faded out bit. You know, fade some out, wipe a little bit off your brush, just a quick wipe on a palette or your hand, and then you've got rid of some product so you can start fading out the faded out bit. And then we're just repeating this so these two curves meet in a point at the middle, like a little widow's peak. And then again we'll fade it down over the slime time. So you see how that slime time now just seems really kind of for the highlights. It's bright, but it's not as, it makes more sense now. And then his head, the top of his head, we've just got a little curve and we'll fade that down and we'll do his hair, his flicky up bits a bit later because Vo.Tino did his later. So that's when we're going to do ours. I really like having this brush that does have the cleanup on the end, which you can use for blending as well, because you can just flip it round. You know, there's no putting a brush down and getting a new one. You just flip it around and there you go. So now we're doing a C, but it's on its side, or it's an upside down U shape. There we go. And then in between that, oh, it's so hard to see, from the center of that upside down U, we came down a tiny bit and curved it out at the bottom. And then where the sides of the nose are, we're just joining in curves to that bit we brought down. I'll try and put something on screen that helps, and you'll be able to see better when things get clearer, which is very soon. It's coming up. Now we're using a darker green just at the bottom. So the bottom of his nose is like a W, but all the bits of the W are curved. Yes, that makes sense. So we did a darker bit along the bottom, and then a lighter bit just above it. This is where I had a tantrum, realised that the whole thing was blurry. It gets clear from now on. I was wondering what to do. Decided to carry on in a bad mood. So we're mixing black and red, which we'll use in a minute. Had a strop. And this is him, not blurry. The body is a mess. I should have done that better. But you can see better now. It might be easier to look at the final picture of this if you're going to do it whilst watching the beginning of the video, because you can see better and it will make more sense. So I'm adding a little bit of the dark green here just because I want to change the shape of his sort of muzzle area. So if you look at the shape of the slime time, the light green, and work on getting that to this sort of shape was what I was doing. So I was focusing on the slime time shape that we're leaving in the center to work out how I wanted to blend that green up. I wanted to be that sort of muzzle shape. And now we're using the black and red that we mixed together, gel paints, and we're just going to do his miserable little smile. His eyes are too big. He looks more pissed off than sort of disgruntled. So we're using pink and red mixed together to do his lip, which got a little bit thicker towards the left side, and cure. And now we're going to take the dark green. I think from here on out it's just kind of following looking at pictures and making it up. So we're putting a bit of the dark green there, fading it down, and then I'll give him a little bit here, just where that, just at the corner of his mouth to make it look, I don't know, like it's a bit further in his face, you know, like, I don't know. You know when you smile at the corner of your mouth is that bit. And for his arms, I've decided just to do straight, some vertical strokes with the darker green, just so they're going in a different direction to define them from the rest of his body. And now he can take Slime Time and do his flicky bits, his quiff. Should we call it a quiff? It's a little mohawk thing. No, it's not a mohawk. So we're using Slime Time for that. I am looking at a picture, and this particular, the Grinch from this film, because this obviously isn't the Jim Carrey Grinch, is quite wispy, these top bits. So we're going to add them in the Slime Time, and then we'll go over them. We're going to create another little sort of faded bit at the top of his head there, that goes into the top of what was his top of the head. We're going to fade it into the top of his head. And we're going over them, but don't go perfectly neatly over them and cover the Slime Time. Let there be bits of Slime Time showing, just to give it a bit more dimension. Oh, and then this bit, I wanted to do a line from his nose to his mouth, which he has, but I didn't want it to be just a harsh straight line. So I've done it, and then we're just going to fade it out either side of the line, just to soften it a bit, so it doesn't look like just a flat straight line. It's kind of blended in a bit. And now we're going to f the whole thing up, I think, personally. So I'm going around him in white. Vo.Tino did this on the half of his face he had. And I should have maybe only done it on this side of the body to be like a light from behind him or something. But I do it all the way around. So we're outlining his head and neck and shoulders. And then while it's still wet, we're just going to wisp out. Again, I've sped bits up because it's a lot of just the same thing. So we're going to wisp out all the way around him. And then we're going to add some little white lines following the hairs on his head, the tuft. And then we're going to do some little flicks on there as well, just to make him look a bit furry. And then I go and do it all over his face. Vo.Tino's looked amazing. I think mine looks not amazing at all. I'm really annoyed. I kind of wish I just left him without the next step. But we're mixing Slime Time with white, because I didn't want to use white, or a bit of other green. I didn't want to use just white. I wanted it to be a little bit green. And then we're just going to do loads of little flicks all over him to make him look hairy. Just loads. But I think I should have, I don't know. I did this all over him about 3 times. Just wasn't happy with it. Those ones there are flicking outwards a bit. And these ones will come sort of horizontal under his eye and then curve with the shape of the darker green shadow areas. And then just lots of little flicks. But I don't know. I think I've messed it up, haven't I? I would love to know what you think, because I'm really annoyed at myself. Like, I wanted these little flicks, but I feel like I just didn't do them right. They're too straight. They should have been more, I don't know, natural looking. As opposed, the ones on his head, the top of his head especially, they're too straight. We're adding some on his chin. And then we're going to do it not all over his body, but we're going to... Dexter's sleeping and his paw just twitched. It's like he just tapped me on the hand like, excuse me. You okay? I'm lying next to him on the floor. We're doing these, so I am leaving a little bit of a gap. So I'm doing them at the top of the dark line on his tummy and at the bottom of it. And we're doing some darker green, sorry, he's having a dream. We're doing some dark green flicks on his brows just to make those look hairy as well. And then down his arms we did little vertical ones here. So yeah, along on his body where we've got those dark bands, we did the flicks, the white flicks, or the very pale green flicks just above the dark bit and just below it. That's what it looked like on a picture anyway. And that's him. That went really quickly. If I hadn't messed up if it wasn't blurry for the first half, I would have made this a much longer video and been a lot more explanatory and hopefully helpful. But I just feel like I messed the whole thing up, and then I was annoyed at his flicks, so I just kind of rushed the video. Let me know what you think. Here's my first ever Grinch. Would you like to see a more basic Grinch that is much less fiddly? Maybe we could squeeze that in before Christmas. Maybe. But do let me know what you think in the comments. I love to hear from you. I read them all. Thank you. I have been reading them and I appreciate you so, so much. I hope you like this video and I hope you have a lovely day. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.